Sometimes it's fast. Sometimes it's on the edge. But it's always tactical. It's always intense. And it's always exciting. It's the 2014 Extreme Sailing Series. .5 degrees north of the equator, and welcome to Singapore. The skyscrapers dominate the vibrant, bustling and affluent garden city. Marina Bay is the stunning venue for the opening act of the 2014 Extreme Sailing Series. It's no understatement that this is the most anticipated series for years. 12 top sailing teams, 60 of the sailing world elite have gathered to battle it out on the bay. And the big question, will the star-studded new teams shake up the existing order, or will the experienced and established teams dominate in the tropics?
We're a completely new crew. Some of us have sailed in the series a bit, some quite a lot, and others not at all. So we've got to learn how to sail with one another. We've got to learn about these boats and this race course. So it's a huge amount to take on board in a very short period of time.
First act here in Singapore. The competition's very, very strong. Some very good teams. We'd like to be at the front, but it's we're under no illusions. It's going to actually be very difficult. And it's my first race since San Francisco in September, so a little bit rusty at the moment. So hopefully, I can get rid of that pretty quickly and get back into the racing.
The Wave Muscat race team this year, we've got a slightly new lineup. But we've still got the core sailors, and we're looking to defend our title here in 2014.
The waiting is now over. This is the opening act of the 2014 Extreme Sailing Series. Marina Bay is perhaps the smallest track on the series, but it will provide a stern test for all teams. Bullets of wind and staying out of trouble, the buzzwords on the dockside. And that was highlighted during Wednesday's practice run. Ben Ainsley's JP Morgan BAR mistimed a cross and damaged the back of Rob Greenhall's Oman airboat. Perhaps a sign of things to come. With huge expectation for the first day's racing, let's take a look at who's who and the form guide.
The Extreme Sailing Series is back. It's bigger and better. This is the 8th year of the tour, and the 2014 series will be the most ambitious yet. 8 iconic venues, 8 acts with 11 top international teams. The starting lineup for this year is the biggest and most exciting to date. The long-established teams are back stronger than ever, and the new teams on board are littered with sailing superstars, winners of round-the-world races, Olympic gold medalists and America's Cup winners. The sailing elite will now go head-to-head. Frank Camas leads the French charge. He is one of the most successful offshore sailors of all time. Camas has competed on the series twice before, and this is the series he would love to win. With a strong, experienced crew, the French are a team to watch. Sir Ben Ainsley needs no introduction. The sailing legend is the ultimate tactician and proven winner. A series win is part of the master plan. This star-studded Brit team means business. The question is, just how quickly can JP Morgan BAR rise to the top of the pile? The Kiwis are back on the Extreme Sailing Series. It's unfinished business as far as they're concerned, finishing 3rd back in 2011. This is the first major event Dean Barker has done since last September's Cup disappointment, and the Kiwis are now out to prove a point. The Australian Challenge is represented by GAC Pindar. The team has plenty of experience on board, but skipper Sevi Jarvin has never raced on the circuit before, let alone on an Extreme 40. The Russian Challenge is led by skipper Igor Lisavenko, and they have brought in plenty of experience and winning know-how in Paul Campbell-James and Alistair Richardson. Both are previous winners. Rob Greenhouse returns to the series to head up Oman Air's challenge. He is the most diverse sailor on the circuit. When Greenhouse skippered a team back in 2007, he won the series. Have the new teams got what it takes to shake up the old order? Because if anything, the established teams look even stronger than last year. The Swiss team Reelstone are back for the second season, again skippered by Jerome Clerc. 2013 was a steep learning curve, but this year the Swiss could climb high. Red Bull Sailing Team is one of the longest serving teams on the circuit. They simply get better and better year by year. Central to their campaign are double Olympic gold medalists Hagara and Steinacker. Unusually run by two skippers, Graham Hansen and Koshner, this will be the third year on the circuit for SAP. They posted 3 podium finishes last year and suffered a capsize. Expect more from them this year. Alinghi are back and they mean business. They narrowly lost out on a series win last year and want to put things right in 2014. They will field the same crew but will alternate the skippers, Ernesto Bertarelli and Morgan Larson. Having won the last 2 Extreme Sailing Series, the Wave Muscat, led by Lee McMillan, go into 2014 as firm favourites. They are the team to beat. The Wave Muscat are going for the treble and you wouldn't bet against them. So how will the most competitive Extreme Sailing Series ever unfold? Let's find out.
There were plenty of smiles dockside. The team seemed to be pretty relaxed, but looks can be deceiving because the tension was beginning to build. Racing about to begin. Plenty of expectation too on the invitational home team, Team Aberdeen Singapore, led by sailing veteran Nick Maloney. Could they put their local knowledge to good effect? Consistency the name of the game on day one, but consistency would prove to be elusive because day one race results varied wildly. A case in point being JP Morgan BAR. They seemed to put their marker down by winning a couple of the early races, but then finished last or near the bottom in the other races. Dean Barker got a win and 2 second-place finishes, but then the Kiwis posted a series of poor results. No such problems for Alinghi, always in the mix. They posted 5 top 4 finishes. But perhaps it was fellow Swiss team Reelstone that proved to be the day's talking point. They scored a win and 3 second-place finishes. Jerome Clerc and his crew, the model of consistency, and they were clearly delighted. It's a Swiss 1-2 at the top of the leaderboard, Reelstone with 56 points, Alinghi with 48, followed closely by Groupama Sailing Team, Emirates Team New Zealand, and JP Morgan BAR. It was a slow day for the 2013 champions, Lee McMillan and the Wave Muscat. Day 2, and the team's now fully aware of what the Singapore track had in store.
Well, it was action-packed. I mean, what an amazing first day for us. Lots of ups and downs. Swiss team Reelstone sailed very well considering the conditions, but for the rest of us, I think we all had a few firsts and a few last places, so it just goes to show it's a difficult place to sail, but very exciting.
Jerome Clerc and Reelstone were full of confidence too, and eager for more.
We had a really good day yesterday. The crew made a fantastic job. We tried to sail really easily, avoid the crowd and do simple things. So it looked like the conditions are quite the same today, so we tried to do the same.
Dean Barker and Emirates Team New Zealand seemed to be in the groove early by posting some good race finishes. However, it was the old guard, Alinghi and the Wave Muscat that dominated day 2. Between them, they traded a series of race wins and second-place finishes. And then race 13, unlucky for some.
Coming into just the last 15 seconds, and it's getting busy at that left-hand end. Normally Alinghi has it to themselves, but Alinghi has given up on it and is going out to the right-hand side. It doesn't like the congestion. Just coming into the last 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's super busy down at that pin end. All of the boats jump down that left end, and there's great pressure out to the right as the Wave Muscat is in the best breeze on the course, and Alinghi and Reelstone. Right's looking good again, Andy.
What Morgan Larson did there on the start was he changed his strategy. He didn't go for his left-hand start. He saw something different, and he chose something different, and he's reaping the rewards.
And I tell you why he did that, is because he saw the rest of the fleet go there. Morgan Larson does not want to go down and get involved with other boats. He saw the rest of the fleet go to his favourite spot, and he thought, you know what? I'm going to stay away from that. I'm going to stay out of trouble. I'm going to sail fast, and he sailed to the front of the fleet.
And then on leg 2, Lady Luck smiled on Morgan Larson's Alinghi.
There, Alinghi way up on their end, near capsize.
Oh my goodness.
Are they going to be able to pull it back from there? He's dumped the sails. Can he get it back? Just. Only just. But he's not out of the woods yet. That's what Singapore can do to you.
The boys are rattled on there, let me tell you. It looks like Reelstone has sailed into first place underneath them.
So a great lead change there, exchanging one Swiss boat for another. But Alinghi, behind them now, has got a lot of boats that have come down inside them. So Reelstone is clear ahead. They're now jibing for the bottom gate. They have a choice of marks. It's really, really busy behind them, and Alinghi is really stuck in the traffic.
And the crews on all the boats have to change their mindset. They got to the windward mark in 5 knots. They're getting to the bottom mark in 15 knots.
And that's a really nice early drop, and no pressure drop for Reelstone because they had no one else close to them. But a great comeback by Alinghi. A lot of breeze now suddenly, a lot of breeze on the race course. Still big patches, but big gusts. And what happened to Alinghi could easily happen to somebody else. Simultaneous tack there by the 2 Swiss boats. Reelstone doing their best to tack on Alinghi. Has Alinghi kept its air clear there? At the moment, I think they have, but Reelstone remains in control of this race.
Reelstone may have been in control, but things can quickly change.
Big issue, big issue.
Whoa! Massive crash there as Oman Air on port sails straight into the back of Reelstone. What a misjudgment by Robert Greenhalgh. That will have caused catastrophic damage to Reelstone. That could be their day over. That could have knocked their rudders off. Huge crash here.
So the big gain for them is the other Swiss team, Alinghi, capitalising on that accident. It's been an eventful race for the Swiss teams, but the Swiss teams are still first and second, but it looks like the wave is threatening now.
Erika! Come on, you cannot engage! Whoa! Come on! You don't have room!
There goes Alinghi, a bit of a nose dig, but nothing like as dramatic as the previous one. Sailing down towards the finish. Not long to go now for Alinghi before it gets to the finish line. Still in 3rd place. That's not bad if you've got a hole in your boat. So on right of picture there, we had Wave Muscat, who's now in 2nd place, moved ahead of Reelstone. And Alinghi has a 100-metre lead as it does its final jibe to the finish. Morgan Larson about to bank another great score.
Slick stuff. He had that near capsize. He almost ended his regatta, and he comes through to win the race. How cool is that? Well done, Alinghi. Coming in 2nd place, Lee McMillan was down the pan for a while, sailing through the fleet today, not necessarily leading from the front. Reelstone, they take 3rd. Huge crash for Reelstone. How are they going to bounce back from that?
We're a bit frustrated because we were going to win this race, I think. So yeah, it's a pity because we were really sailing well. There is a hole like, I don't know, 1 meter long at the back of the hull.
Race committee from Reelstone, we will need a lift out of the water. Can you manage?
It was not our fault, so we asked for redress for the race. We couldn't sail, and we have to see with the jury what kind of redress he will make.
That crash was a huge disappointment for Jerome Clerc and his crew, and it would be highly unlikely that their boat would be ready in time for the following day's racing. So it was unlucky race 13 for Reelstone, but it's Alinghi, despite a near capsize, who are the most consistent team on the Singapore track. They topped Day 2's leaderboard, Emirates Team New Zealand in 2nd, followed by the Wave Muscat. Coming up next, the exciting finale of the opening act of the 2014 Extreme Sailing Series, because the mischievous Singapore wind really bites. Do not go away. Welcome back to Singapore, the stunning venue of the opening act of the 2014 Extreme Sailing Series. As we've already seen, the Extreme 40s are fast, agile, and extremely tough. Here's Freddie Carr with his unique take on what makes these boats so special to race.
The creators of the Extreme 40 took the fastest Olympic boat and doubled it in size, which means one thing: it's super fast and super tough. Which in simple terms means the Extreme 40 is built for speed. It's no surprises then, the Extreme 40 is 40 foot long. It's super lightweight, made of carbon, and it's designed to fit in a container and go anywhere in the world. The mast length is over 60 foot high. This is the main power source of the Extreme 40, the massive mainsail, and it's big enough that you can park 4 London buses on it. Obviously real ones, not these little toy ones, the ones that are driving around London. The jib that they use for upwind sailing is made of carbon fibre and Kevlar. That's the same stuff that they use in bulletproof vests. It's pretty light too. It's about the same weight as a small family car, which means the Extreme 40 is capable of sailing faster than the wind. If the wind is blowing 15 knots, this thing can do 25 knots. On a windy day, this thing can go over 30 knots, and that is pretty fast. If you want to know what that's like, just try sticking your head out the car window while it's doing 35 miles an hour in the rain.
You're welcome.
Love Extreme 40 sailing. Thanks.
So just to clarify, you've made a request for redress. Here's the jury, we have 6 people.
Day 3 began with much discussion between Reelstone and the race committee. The Swiss team unable to complete repairs and would not be able to take part in the day's racing. As a result, and using the redress process, Reelstone were awarded an average point score for the day to keep them in overall contention. When racing got underway, it was the same old story. Morgan Larsson's Alinghi were again trading race wins with Lee McMillan's The Wave Muscat. Then on the penultimate race of the day, the Wave Muscat were in total control of the race when race 20 delivered one of the most dramatic incidents seen in the 8-year history of the series.
The Wave Muscat breaking away from the rest of the fleet, just looking for their own breeze as they roll into a jibe 91 metres ahead of Alinghi.
What Alinghi has got in second place is they have got the fleet breathing down their neck. Are they cool enough to sail away from the fleet? They've just picked up a bit of pressure, and it looks like they are sailing away from the fleet. The fleet in the middle of the course are in the biggest hole that we've seen this weekend as Alinghi complete the jibe. Last jibe into the finish, I'd imagine.
Amazing race by Lee McMillan, just crossing the finish line, 100 metres ahead of Alinghi. Lee McMillan waves to the crowd here in Singapore. And if Morgan Larsson were to look over his shoulder and look at the doldrums behind him, he will be very grateful to be crossing the finish line in second place, safely ahead of the melee of boats that are just drifting around in the middle of the course. There is Oman Air. They could be vying for third place in this race. And there goes Red Bull Sailing Team going into a jibe, but they have to look over at Oman Air, who have rights on them. They're on starboard. Rob Greenhalgh and Oman Air, he's looking good for third place here because he's on starboard. Starboard, he says to Roman Hagara, the double Olympic champion, and Rob Greenhalgh safely turns down for third place. And Red Bull, very, very slow. Can they hold on for fourth? Looks like they're just going to drift across, but just behind them, action. Where is Benesi going to go? There's going to be a collision, surely. Pushing.
Oh my goodness, there's a mast come down.
Oh my goodness.
Men are in the water.
2 boats locked together.
Aberdeen are on top of Groupama. I have never seen anything like this in my life.
In less than a minute, the safety teams were on the scene and kicked into action. Thankfully, apart from some bumps and bruises, no one was hurt. After the day's racing finished, Nick Maloney and Frank Camas were in a reflective mood.
Everybody are okay, so it's a good point. There is only technical damage on the boats. For sure, it's a bad moment for us. It's important to come back on our job, I think. But this is the life, this type of race.
course, it gives you a fright, there's no question. But you know, we actually talk through these scenarios prior to these events. And the event talks us through it, our safety officers talk it through it, every single scenario, and that's one of them. And you know, previously we've avoided it to date, and it happened today, and everyone was prepared for it.
Sometimes, to make things better, only one or two things will do.
So I feel like I could do with a cuddle, to be honest. I know it sounds stupid, but I feel like I want my mum. Yeah.
Day 4, and after huge efforts overnight by the shore crews and true sporting camaraderie with all the teams wanting to help out, it's good news. All 12 teams would be out on the water for the final day's racing. Alinghi are the team to beat, but if everything went their way, the Wave Muscat could yet upset Swiss celebrations. The other Swiss team, Reelstone, are back in business and eager to fight it out with the Kiwis for a podium finish. As for the other teams, they would be desperate to finish on a high.
The good news is we've survived 3 days unscathed and had a few close calls, and obviously a tough venue and conditions are tricky, and the fleet's you know, as tough as it's ever been. Lee with the Wave Muscat, always a front runner, and he's aggressive and his team's solid, and you know, we know that they're going to push us all the way to that last race. If you sit back and get conservative, you're going to get swallowed up fast.
The Wave Muscat started well, posting a couple of early wins. But Alinghi were doing just enough to keep in the mix, and they kept scoring valuable points.
Another very solid finish for Alinghi.
By the final race, the pressure was off. Alinghi had already done enough to secure the win in Singapore, a rare occurrence indeed on the series. The last double points race would now be all about who would finish where behind Alinghi on the final scoreboard.
They look like they're a little bit stalled there. They're very slow in the middle of the course. This could be a disaster for the Wave. They've got no speed at all as the gun goes. This race is wide open. New Zealand are off to a great start. The Wave have had a shocker, super low speed.
That is not what Lee McMillan needed.
Dean Barker looks back around at Lee McMillan, probably saying, lads, we're attacking here. We're definitely crossing the Wave. This could be on. We've had a consistent week. We could find those 6 boats and jump us up into second place.
He's going to have to duck a few transoms as he goes across, Dean Barker.
And there's the Wave Muscat coming into the shot on the left-hand side. Here we go. There's a great shot. Our Emirates Team New Zealand going to try and cross the Wave. Oh, they could have got that horribly wrong. They're trying to tack in front of the Wave. The umpires are going to be called in. Lee McMillan raises a yellow flag. Team New Zealand have fouled Lee McMillan. You can see him waving his flag. It's a penalty. It's gone to New Zealand. That is unbelievable. What a mistake by the Kiwis.
That was pressure telling there. They didn't need to do that. They could have ducked a few more transoms.
The Kiwis were rattled, the podium finish slipping from their grasp.
What I've just learned is that Reelstone need to put 3 boats in between them and New Zealand to leapfrog New Zealand into 3rd place. So right now I'm looking at New Zealand, I'm looking at Reelstone. The good thing for Emirates Team New Zealand's fans is that Emirates Team New Zealand have just gone round the right-hand gate right behind Reelstone. They've got them in their crosshairs.
So Reelstone locked in the battle for 3rd. They're ahead of Emirates Team New Zealand in this race, but they need to be further ahead if they're going to take 3rd place away from the Kiwis.
So we've got Alinghi, the champions, going round in 2nd. Reelstone are still in 3rd place. The Wave Muscat go round just behind them. So the Wave Muscat aren't worried about New Zealand and Reelstone. Right now they're in 2nd place. Let's count the boats behind Reelstone and see where New Zealand is. I see Groupama, I see the Wave, I see SAP. There is 3 boats in between Reelstone and Team New Zealand. What does that mean?
Back at the business end, JP Morgan BAR finished in style and took the final race win.
Here comes Reelstone in 3rd place.
Reelstone in 3rd place. What a performance under pressure.
The Wave Muscat, Lee McMillan.
What a great result for him. He has come 2nd overall here in this act.
Alinghi just crossing. They finished that race and they have confirmed themselves as champions here in Singapore, Act 1. Emirates Team New Zealand, where did they lose out? They are going to fall off the podium. Morgan Larson, the King of Singapore, 2 years in a row.
spectacular feeling, and especially here, it's a hard venue, and to start the season with a win, it's great.
So for the second year running, Morgan Larson and his team are masters of the Singapore track. Alinghi have made a huge statement of intent for the season to come. Alinghi win in Singapore. Lee McMillan and the Wave Muscat finish second, and Reelstone thrilled to have beaten Dean Barker's Emirates Team New Zealand to third place. The new star-studded teams may have performed well in patches, but it's the old guard who still rule the waves. Singapore delivered thrilling and action-packed races that at times tested the teams to the limit. However, Act 2 in Muscat now looms large on the horizon. Be sure to join us again soon, but for now, it's goodbye from Singapore.